Your mind is limitless. The possibilities are endless. Awaken Your Mind Magic shows you how you can dream limitlessly and live your life on a new level. Susan Kathleen speaks with ordinary people who are living extraordinary lives using the power of their minds. Abundance, prosperity, and success. There are no limits to what you can dream. Join Susan Kathleen on a journey into your dreams, making a difference and living life on your own terms. This is Awaken Your Mind Magic.
Hello and welcome everyone. My guest speaker today is Gloria Grace Rand, known as the insightful copywriter. She's an inspirational speaker, author, and host of Live, Love, Engage podcast. And before launching her SEO copywriting business in 2009, Gloria spent nearly 2 decades in television, most notably as writer and producer for the award-winning PBS financial news program, Nightly Business Report. Live, Love, Engage is her first book. She's working on It's written to inspire entrepreneurs to rise up and demonstrate the greatness that's within you. Welcome, Gloria. It's great to have you with me today on Awaken Your Mind Magic.
Oh, I am so delighted to be here, Susan. I am just been looking forward to this for so long, and I'm really excited to be here.
Certainly been looking forward to it because we've had to, with your busy schedule, we've had to revisit the fact that it was a couple of months ago I was going to interview you. And you are a very, very talented, incredibly busy woman. Tell us more. Tell us about your story, what awakened your mind magic, your true awakening. Share it with us.
Oh, well, let's see where to begin. Well, you mentioned certainly my background is in television, and that was something that I enjoyed doing. But before I got into television, it's an interesting story in that I guess I always was interested in television as a little kid. It was a good way of distracting myself from what was going on in my household. I grew up with, unfortunately, my dad was an alcoholic, and my mom was mostly verbally abusive. But looking back now, I can certainly understand why, because she was married to an alcoholic, and that was certainly not an easy row for her to handle. So as a kid, I decided that it was better to be seen and not heard. And so that's the way I was able to kind of get through life. But there was always part of me that I think really did want me to awaken and wanted me to shine, as it were. And so I wound up, I went to college actually just studying business, but I really didn't. My heart wasn't in it. I didn't understand it, frankly. I was flunking out of economics classes and, just didn't enjoy it at all. And so wound up actually majoring in mass communications, and that's how I wound up getting into television. And I love that, the universe just has a sense of humor or just really knew that there was a plan for me, that I wound up working for a business news program, even though I didn't want to study business at the beginning. And then I wound up actually starting my own business now. And it's been a great journey. I have been enjoying being a copywriter and writing for businesses' websites. And really, everything was going pretty well in my life, I would say, considering how I started, until I lost my sister 4 years ago to cancer. And when that happened, it really rocked my world because she was my cheerleader. She was my best friend. She was the one who was always encouraging me when I was feeling doubtful about my business and whether I was really, doing as good a job as I could do. She was there, right there to be able to say, no, Gloria, you're doing great. Keep it up. And I'm so proud of you. And so when I lost her, it was hard. And looking back on it now, though, it was a strange sort of gift, because shortly before she passed was when I got the idea to write my book. I was meditating one morning, and this voice came in my head that said, "You have to write a book about love." And I was like, no, I do marketing. What are you talking about? I don't know anything about love, even though, I was married. I have 2 kids, so I knew some things about love, but I really didn't know. Because what I finally, what the book is really about is how to stop doubting yourself and start being yourself, and to really start showing up as the divine spiritual being that we are. I believe that we are all connected to one another. We're all divine. We're all part of God. And I really had to learn these lessons. That's why it's taken me 4 years to get the book out. Because I had to absolutely learn these lessons, and it's the book is when I say writing about love, it is because love is an acronym, and so each letter stands for basically a step that I'm teaching people now that I have learned how to do in order to be able to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically. And that's where the title, what that really means as well.
That's really interesting, Gloria. When you speak about taking 4 years to understand what you were writing about, what spirit had actually put into your head through meditation, or what your inner intuition had been telling you as well, would you say that to learn to love yourself first is the ultimate goal of every person before they can love unconditionally and love other people the way you would like them to?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the crux of it. That's really what I had to learn, and I'm still learning, and I think that's also that's a point I make in the book, is that it's an ongoing process. We're always going to be learning and evolving, and there's always going to be challenges that are going to come up that we can learn from, but also I've learning now, I have learned that I can bounce back a lot quicker than I used to. Things that might have sent me into a tailspin for, weeks or months, now I can kind of catch myself and say, oh, I don't really want to believe that. No, I am valuable. I am worthy, and I can snap back a lot quicker than I used to. But it's really, as an example, part of the main, really the foundation of the book is about letting go and letting God, and it's really letting go of these beliefs that we have that a lot of times we picked up when we were kids, that or maybe they're even things that we picked up even from our ancestors, that these things that beliefs that we're not worthy or that we're not enough, and really being able to let that go and instead focus in on letting God into our lives, and whatever you believe, it doesn't really matter, because it's not about religion. It's really about spirituality, and really about learning how to trust your inner guidance and your intuition, and listening to that voice inside of you that really does love you, and to be able to listen to that and take it to heart. Yeah.
When you say this, and I find this resonates with me, from childhood, it's learned behavior. And having been brought up with an alcoholic father and a verbally abusive mother who consequently was actually suffering herself, what's your advice to people who have gone through a situation like you, who are listening now and can resonate with how you have spoken about learning to remove yourself from that self-doubt into self-love?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I definitely, growing up, I lived in fear because I didn't know, like how my dad was going to be, was he going to be drunk? Was he going to be sober? And so it was dicey. But I think, my advice to someone who has gone through some sort of, trauma like that, well, number one is to don't be afraid to seek help for one thing, because I didn't fix all these problems on my own as much as, I do. Part of the book is not only just doing this work yourself, but I've talked to a lot of people, I've attended a lot of different workshops and read books, and I think you do have to work through a lot of different things. And I think that's the first thing, is don't be afraid to ask for help. And the other thing is for a concrete example of something, is to take a look at your life, because I think there's two things. No matter what's happened to you that, something bad maybe happened to you in your past, no doubt there's still been a lot of good that has happened in your life. And so even if it's just taking time one day to write down a list of all of the good things that has happened to you. In fact, I'm in a course this week where they were talking about make a list of your 10 badass moments. And, and to them, they meant, like something that that you did that was really great. And I think that is important to look at those things, because sometimes we forget, because we just, especially if it's something that maybe that you're naturally good at that other people aren't, and you don't think it's a big deal. But so if you have trouble coming up with this list, maybe asking other people, asking some friends or family, and say, is there anything, that you remember? Because sometimes we block those things out of our mind. So to be able to reflect on your life and look at some of the good, that helps tremendously. And then thinking of things that you have to be grateful for, because also when you can be grateful for even the smallest things in your life, it's hard to stay sad or depressed or even angry when you're focused in on the good things in your life. And the more you can focus in on those good things, then the more good things tend to come into your life.
They certainly do. You touched on about genetically in your past, how your ancestors can affect you right now in this human form that you're living. Mm-hmm. Explain that. I'm interested.
Yeah, I've done some, again, in working with different people, they talk about this, what's the phrase? It's sort of like generational trauma. Yeah, that's what it is. And I do think sometimes I've done some reading in this, and scientists have looked at our DNA gets shaped by, going back, I think they say 7 generations even. And so some of those experiences, when you go through traumatic events, and it does change the actual biology of our bodies. And so then again, if that gets passed down to you, some of the reasons why you might be, having difficulty, it may not necessarily be because of your childhood. It may be something that happened to your grandparents. And so again, that's why I say it might be good to seek help from other people. I know hypnotherapists are good folks that are out there that can help you and can do some maybe past life regressions and help you to work through some of these things and to be able to release some of that, some of those things. And something that may also help is something that actually I've just started doing recently. I mean, seriously, really, really recently, like the last couple of weeks, I have started to channel light language. And I first was made aware of this about a year ago when I experienced someone else doing it, and it just really just touched my soul. I was like crying in the middle of this workshop, and I was like, wow, what the heck is this? And so I went to talk with her about it afterwards, and I've since learned that this is something that really does speak to our souls, and I think that also can help heal some of this past trauma, because I've been practicing it every day and for the last couple of weeks, and I'm noticing a real shift in myself. And I think it's another tool that I've found that is really helping me sort of get over that last hurdle that I've had.
Sounds great. Tell us what channeling light language is. What do you do?
Yeah, well, it's well, like I said, I just finished reading a book about it because it's like, okay, I needed to learn more about it because I knew a little bit, but not a lot. It's essentially bringing in like a language from your higher self, and it can be even, they say it can be from angels and galactic beings or fairies and elves and all sorts of things, which are like, wow, okay, kind of mind-blowing to me. And so I don't even really know exactly what it is, but I do know that when I sort of open my mouth to just start maybe singing a little bit, but all of a sudden I'm speaking a language. It's like that I have no idea what it is. It actually sounds a little Asian to me. So I know my ancestors, I think, I have Hungarian blood in me, but I think originally it was from the Mongols. So it's like, I'm not surprised that I'm sounding, that some of this sounds a little bit Asian, and it's, it just flows, and it's like I'm not even really trying to control it because it just kind of comes out. And sometimes it is, I actually do sing, which is really cool because I've always been a singer. It's something I used to sing in church choirs, and it was interesting that about a year ago I was feeling like I wanted to be able to somehow use music to put it into my business some way, and I wasn't sure how it was going to fit in. And it's like, well, now maybe I think I see it's going to be, I think this is possibly going to be some sort of healing tool that I might be able to use with clients and to be able to use music that way.
Well, I love that because as a shaman myself, and I believe in fairies and angels, I totally understand what you do. And this is what more and more people worldwide are starting to understand as well, because we have the ability now to interconnect through the internet, and especially during 2019 because of what's been going on in the world. Mm-hmm. And we are all becoming more creative. We're all starting to see this. I mean, there you are, an amazing woman with a business brain, and you are now doing what you're doing, and you're going to incorporate that with your business coaching. Mm-hmm. How incredible is that?
Yeah, I think it is totally incredible, and I'm grateful. Every day, I'm just I'm grateful for these new opportunities and just how just things are opening up, and I think that's something that I'd like to make a point of too, is to let people encourage you to, those of you listening out there, to be open to new opportunities, new ways of looking at things. I've for the longest time have just really paid attention to to signs and just, there'll be something, I'd be just having an issue with something. Actually, I remember this. I was on my way to an appointment one day, and I was having, I think I was having an issue with my husband or something, and I saw a billboard that just, I don't even know what it was advertising, but the message was just kind of like in my face at like, okay, thank you, God. Okay. And it was just something like that. And a lot of times, I also I'll like wake up in the morning or maybe even in the middle of a meditation, a song lyric will pop into my head, and I'll go to Google and like look up the actual words of the song and go, oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you for that message. All right. So it's just sort of being aware of these things and to be curious, and see what it might mean.
I agree with you. And you let that inner child of yours out and to be as curious as a small child, because that is where your intuition comes through you. And when you open yourself up to this ability, this fantastic ability that we have, this energy force, this quantum field where we're all interconnected and attached to the mother lode, the big force of God, Gaia, Sky Father, whatever you want to call that mega force of energy. Right. We're all interconnected and part of it. And this is what's so incredible. I mean, I also know that you and I are old souls. We haven't met each other physically, but we know each other. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is from past lives.
Yeah.
So when you start to open yourself out, and like you said to me as well, and to the listeners, obviously, that when you saw the billboard, it wasn't by mistake. It's because you asked this question. And somehow or other, universe puts in place exactly what you need at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you talk about the passing of your sister, but of course now she's back in the energy field. And now you've started to learn how to channel. Because basically that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is she part of your channeling? Is she part of your life?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, this, as an example, this was just a couple of weeks ago. I was finishing up the book, but I was stuck. I was stuck on this one section, and it was a part about valuing your uniqueness. And I was really stuck, and I realized it was because I was having trouble valuing it for myself. Again, yeah. So as I say, I'm still learning this, and so I was a little bit stuck. And for whatever reason, there was something again I was writing, but I was. I just had, I know, I was looking at sort of the synchronicity. This was in October when this happened. That's right. And that was, October was of 2016 was when she went into the hospital, and, cause she was having some complications, and I had to fly out because they thought she wasn't going to make it right then. And so I had to book a flight right away and go out there. So I wanted to check the dates because there was something kind of weird about it. And so I went and dug out one of her notebooks, and I found this passage where she was writing about how that, she had stopped the chemo, at this point. And she was really sort of doubting, I forget what it was, but it was something about, she was really reflecting on how she was doubting herself and doubting her worthiness to survive and to beat the cancer or something. And, but whatever it was, it really touched me because it was something about it, and then I found the dates, and there was like this synchronicity of things. And so I really did feel that it was her reaching out and helping me with this part of the book, because I was able to then kind of work through and was able to finish that part. So, I definitely feel her presence. And it is interesting because, again, like about 4 years ago, I didn't I didn't trust my intuition at that point. I used to joke that, I would get these inklings to, like turn this way, and then I wouldn't do it, and then I'd regret it afterwards. And I was at like a conference, and or someone, encouraged me to, to start, to honor that. In fact, I even declared that I was a passionate, caring, and intuitive woman at this event. And so,
you are.
Yeah, and thank you. And yeah, I am. I think I only half maybe believed it at the time, but now I do know that. And by exercising that intuition, it has gotten stronger, because I now really do listen to it. And it's made a big difference when I do.
It certainly does when you start to, and that is awakening your mind magic. You are opening up this mind of ours that we each have got, but the sense of the fact that what's within you is without you. In other words, you are God, and that's not being blasphemous. The fact is, it's your inner spirit. You're interconnected with the God force. Mm-hmm. And when you start to understand the strength and the power of that, you understand just how powerful you are as a spirit living a human experience.
Yeah.
Do you believe that what you were born into and what your life experiences are develop you into the person where you come to be at a certain point and use that as your powerful story, even if it's adverse?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I definitely know that there, it might have been at times not the greatest childhood, but there were other times where it was really good. But I do believe that all those lessons that I had to learn, well, number one, they have made me who I am today, and it does help because I'm able to now share my story, in interviews like this, but also in my book, and to be able to share the lessons that I've learned, so that hopefully I can help someone else. Yeah, that's right. That was what I was thinking about. It was that, for instance, when I was a kid, my mom had a lot of health problems too, and so I wound up having to take care of her a lot. And she had migraines, she had arthritis, and I was doing all these things. And of course, at the time, complaining all the while about it, because I was like, I felt and did for a long time, that it's like kind of robbed of my childhood.
Yep.
Not really true, because my sister would tell you that I was spoiled, because she was the big sister, and I basically grew up an only child because she had gone off to college. So it's true, I did have a lot of advantages that she didn't have, dance lessons and things like that. But I did pay my dues too. Yep. And at the same time, I think the fact that I did have all that experience taking care of my mom, and then raising my own two children, that when my sister did have cancer, I was able to, as often as I could, I flew out to Arizona to be with her, because I lived in Florida, so I'd have to travel across the United States to get there. But I was able to take care of her. I used to, she was in a wheelchair, and because the tumor made it too painful for her to walk, and so I would be able to, she had this nice little folding wheelchair, and I would be able to fold up, put it in the car, drive her to her chemotherapy, whip that thing out of the car, and unfold it and get her into it, and then doing other things, especially when it got even more involved in taking care of her. But see, at that point, then I didn't complain, because I really wanted to take care of her, because she really needed my help. But I think that because I'd gone through all that, then it made it so that it was a little bit easier for me. So yeah, we do have to go through some of these things, and I think it is for a reason.
It always is. And I often, when I'm coaching myself and somebody's very bitter about their childhood, we revisit it and see why, and often they end up in the care industry or in the counseling industry.
Yeah.
And it's because of their childhoods. And I think this is also when we sort of write our little sacred contract before we actually birthed as a human into this world, is we have agreed to experience some of these things. Some of them aren't very pleasant at all, and some of them are wonderful. But it's all a part of where we're going to go as spirit in a human form, and where we are going to interconnect with our career, our vocation, and our calling. Now, talking about career, I'm interested in, unique for you, 4 simple steps to move from self-doubt to self-love. That's all part of your journey from a child.
Yeah.
And when you're connecting through LOVE, and that's, again, how to create more impact, influence, and income in a business. Talk to me about your business with love.
Yeah, it's it's been an interesting journey too, and one of the things that I love to do, I always loved to do. I mean, even as a kid, I always loved to write, and English was one of my favorite subjects, and I got into, I was writing in television and really enjoyed doing that work. And then when I decided to launch my own business, it was, number one, I kept getting this advertisement in the mail that was saying, can you write a letter like this? And it was advertising a course on how to write junk mail that we get in the mail, advertisements, and to do, so it was to learn how to do copywriting. And so I wound up investing in this course because I was like, well, yeah, I like to write, and I realized that it was, a little bit similar to what I was doing in business news. And especially when I learned how, when I started this course, I was realizing that everything was moving online. And so I decided to invest in the course on SEO copywriting. So that was SEO stands for search engine optimization. So it's learning how to write content for the website so that when people are searching on Google, that your website is going to show up for these certain keyword phrases. And I really liked that because it was like it appealed to the logical part of my brain that, this detective having to figure out the right words, and then I could be creative in writing and being able to use those words in a way that was more appealing to people. And so it's been, I've had a really wonderful opportunity to work with a variety of different businesses over the years and doing everything from, like I say, writing for their websites, but also helping them with maybe email marketing. I've got a client right now who is he's an accountant, and he doesn't really, like to write emails. He's a numbers guy. So he's like so happy that I'm able to like write these things, especially with lately this year has been so all these different challenges, and there's been, the government has offered support, but then you have to apply for different loans and grants. And so he's like, can you help me put this into English that people will understand? And so I've been able to do that for him. And so it's that part of my business that I've been able to do has been a lot of fun. And I really do love helping people to be able to connect with their clients. But I have felt, especially since this happened with my sister, that I wanted to really go deeper and to be able to actually coach people as well, and coach entrepreneurs in particular, because you can have like the best looking website, but if your mind isn't really there, where you've got maybe limiting beliefs about money or self-worth issues, then you're not going to be as successful. And I know that because at the same time that I had been helping a lot of people, I really didn't make as much money, I think, as I could have, because I didn't charge as much, because I didn't value the work that I was doing enough to really be, I should have, could have, whatever, woulda, coulda, should have, but, theoretically could have been making a lot more money than I had been. But again, it's all lessons that I had to learn, so it's okay. And, luckily my husband has worked full time, so I haven't had to, really, I had the advantage of being able to, have some lean years as I learned these lessons and learned the importance of like hiring help and realizing you don't have to do everything yourself. It really makes a huge difference. Like I just recently hired an editor for my podcast, so I wouldn't have to do all that editing myself that I had been doing. And it's like such a load off my shoulders now to have someone else helping me.
It sure is. I every single day I wake up and I'm grateful for my podcast manager and my wonderful sound man who's based in Canada. And if he's hearing this, Justin, you're a bomb. So I hear you. Let it go. Don't try to hold it all in one place and do it all yourself, because then you cannot have the power of being this amazing person. You talk about the importance to value your uniqueness. Mm-hmm. Share that with us.
Yeah, it's so important to really appreciate, we all come into this world, I think, with some different natural abilities and gifts and talents, and some of these we can even pick up on the way. We learn, we have different interests, and we can hone those into something really good. But sometimes we take it for granted, or we don't believe in ourselves enough. And again, like I say, that I was just mentioning that I wasn't charging enough for my services because there was still part of me that really, I think, that doubted that I was good, even though I had plenty of clients who were very happy with the results that they got from the work that I was doing for them. But I was having trouble with that. So it's so important. And one of the things I mentioned in the book is, especially if you're a business owner, to gather testimonials from your clients, and if you need to, keep them in a journal, because there's going to be days where, we all have days. I mean, I still have days where I'm, doubting myself a little bit. But then you can go back in and read those testimonials, it helps to remind you that you can look at it and go, oh yeah, I really did. Yeah, I did help them out with that. Yeah, I guess I do know what I'm talking about, or I do know whatever it is that you do for a living. It's so important to remember that. And it's the other thing about it too is if you don't value it, and this is, I just remember this is one of the stories I tell in the book, was actually in regards to my sister. She had a client who wanted to give her a really big bonus for Christmas one year. And she called me on the phone and she's like, Glor, Beth wants to give me $1,000 bonus and I don't feel right accepting it. And I was like, I'm inside going, wow, that is fantastic. Well, actually, I think I told her, that's fantastic. I can't believe that she wants to do that. And so I started asking her, I'm like, well, why do you think that? I mean, haven't you been helping her? And she's like, oh yeah, she's been getting, a lot of pain relief and does she recommend you to her friends? And yeah, I've gotten a lot of clients and, but my sister, she had doubts and she felt that it wasn't too, like she was worthy. But I finally convinced her that it was important for her to accept it because that was what her client wanted to give her. And if she was going to reject it, she'd be rejecting her client.
That is the art of giving and receiving, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The person wants to give to you. It's a gift.
Yeah.
And to say, oh no, it's okay. It's not helping the person who wants to give to you, let alone yourself, what you're receiving.
Yeah.
And that's what the universe understands.
Mm-hmm.
It understands the reciprocal things about giving and receiving. Yeah. So I love that you told your sister to go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, of course, it was interesting. She's like, okay, I'll accept the money, but I won't spend it. And so but see, this is where the universe works its magic, because she tucked that money aside, she put it in a drawer, and then when she got cancer, she wasn't able to work. And so we actually wound up using some of that money to, pay pay for expenses, pay for bills. So it was actually a good thing that she had set aside that money.
So there as well, the universe puts things in place and they happen. The same as the, you call it junk mail, coming into your post box.
Mm-hmm.
And consequently you end up doing the course, you become an incredible copywriter. And it's all part of your business now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when you open yourself up to these things like the billboard and everything else, there's always a message if you allow it to be processed and actually accept it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's a no-brainer. I don't know why we don't all do it all the time.
I know.
Tell us, Gloria, what's you speak about the number one mistake entrepreneurs make when it comes to online marketing. Now that fascinates me, and I know that it will fascinate a lot of people listening because we are all online now. Your wiseness would actually help us with whatever you could tell us.
Well, yeah, I believe the number one mistake marketers or a lot of business owners make online is they're not focused in on, they're not thinking enough about what their clients want from them, and they're focused in too much on what they can offer, but not from the perspective of their client. So let me give you an example. I had a client who he sold outdoor lighting for homes to make the homes really look nice from the outside. And when he came to me, he was having, he wasn't getting enough clients, and the people who were calling just, turns out they weren't really that interested in what he had. And when I went to his website, it was really all about how great he was, and really about all the technical aspects of his business. And it wasn't about what lighting would do actually for the home and why someone would want to light up their home, that it wasn't talking about how beautiful the home might look, or even maybe a little extra security that the home would have now, because maybe people, potential criminal element, wouldn't want to necessarily go and try to break into a house because there's all these lights there. So, and so when I was able to actually work with him and adjust the copy and sort of focus in on what's in it for the customer, suddenly he was getting now phone calls from people who really were interested in hiring him to put those lights into his, put them into their homes. And so it's sometimes we get too close to what it is that we offer. And so it's important to just keep asking yourself, and this is one of the things that when I was learning copywriting, they would tell you, is to just keep saying, like, so what? Okay, so you have, what is important about having lights for the house? Well, let's see, it'll, it's going to help with the house will be more lit up. Well, so what? Why is that important? And keep digging down until you get to the real reason. And then when you can communicate that on the website and even in other things like, blog articles or videos or social media posts, when you're focusing in on your clients, what they want, what's important to them, then it's going to make it a lot easier for you then to do business with them.
Well, that makes sense. And then where you speak about the biggest roadblock that entrepreneurs encounter when they're trying to achieve success, is that part of it?
Yeah, I think so, because they're not knowing how to be able to really be authentic too, and I guess that's part of the other piece of this is that sometimes you get too caught up in what your product or service is, but not again what it can do for them. And it's important to put yourself into your client's shoes and figure out what is it that they really want. And sometimes it's more about security or more about maybe looking good or feeling good, and then the actual, specifics about what the product or service is. But if you can talk to them in that way, and really treat them as a friend too, because treat them as if it's someone that you would want to do business with, and not just as a numbers game, then it'll help to develop some trust between the two of you, and so they'll be more inclined to want to do business with you.
So it's like heart-centered connection, business connection. So where you're giving of yourself and your sincerity, and they then form the trust, and basically then want to work with you, and even more, and then obviously pay you more as well, because you're worth it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's it. Yeah, because if you're doing something for them that is going to help them to make more money, then they're going to be able to be more inclined to pay you more.
Something I'm interested about, and just reading through all of your information and researching you. You speak about LinkedIn. Now, we all have our favorite social media. We get indoctrinated, or our minds get blown away with, you must go to Facebook, you must go to Instagram, go to Pinterest, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody starts going to all of these places, and then they become jack of all trades, master of none, unless you actually have a PA to do it for you.
Right.
You speak about LinkedIn, and you say 3 top tips to get more leads and clients with LinkedIn. Why specifically LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is especially good for businesses that do business with other businesses. So it's a good, they call it the B2B type of relationship. It is still more professional than professional seeming, I suppose, as opposed to Facebook, which Facebook gets into, a lot of, it can get into a lot of either politicalness or just, a lot of stuff. But it seems, and then it's more friends and doing more casual, social, I guess, type of posts, whereas LinkedIn is a little bit more professional. And there's a way that you can to connect with people on LinkedIn. One of the things that because I've taught courses on this in the past, is to be able to look for things in common that you have with someone, say, that you want to be able to connect with, and because the profile because it is one of the nice things about LinkedIn too, is that I think you can have a lot more information about who you are, your business, what your businesses offer than you do get really with Facebook. And so you can really take a good look at someone, see who they're connected with, maybe see where they went to school, or what things they're interested in, what their experience is. And then when you go to reach out to them, you can reference some of those things. And as a good example, you were researching me in order to do this interview. You could do the same thing on LinkedIn, as you research someone before you reach out to them. So that way, you're able to establish rapport a bit better. Because, there are still some people who will just reach out to you on LinkedIn without doing any kind of research, and they're just like, I still get them every day. I get, I want to connect with you on LinkedIn. That sort of generic message, and it's like, okay, well, why do you want to connect with me on LinkedIn? So here's a tip: if you're going to connect with someone on LinkedIn, give them a reason why.
Exactly. I like that.
That generic, because it's, because somebody's probably going to wind up ignoring it. You have to give them a reason.
Well, I've found, and when you're speaking about that, and you accept one of the people, and they come and they say to you, I'd like to teach you how to 6X yourself as a coach. And you sort of look at this and you think, have you read my profile? Really? What? Go away. I don't need this at the moment. I'm doing my own stuff. I am a 6X coach.
Yeah. Well, and that's important too, is that when you do reach out to someone, you don't just try to sell to them right away. I mean, I had somebody, actually, I friended them, well, she extended a friend request to me on Facebook. I accepted the request because I was like, okay, yeah, I think we had people in common. And so then, and I did see actually that she was a virtual assistant. So I was curious. And then of course, now the first, message she's got back to me was like, well, I am with this company. I'm wondering if you're interested in, in the services. And I was like, okay, you have to develop a relationship first. I mean, you don't just walk up to somebody and marry them, just the first person you see on the street.
No, why would you? You never know what you might get.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know.
I love that. I have to say, I've heard on Facebook. I mean, obviously, I've recently sort of done a bit of research, and I thought, okay, I've got to 5,000 on my personal page, and this is ridiculous. And I've shifted it over to a business page, and I see that Facebook has actually radically changed in the last. It's been working on changing, and it has changed in the last couple of weeks. And at least there on the business pages, you're a little bit like LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's true.
What I've had recently, because I'm a cryptocurrency coach with a particular company, and a spate of people, when I went into the business page, started sending me messages asking me if I'd like to know more about cryptocurrency.
Oh.
And basically I thought, and then it was a big, bing, 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 danger, because you've got a lot of scammers in Facebook as well, unfortunately.
That's true. Unfortunately, yeah. And even on LinkedIn too, unfortunately. So you have to be careful no matter where you are. But I do like how you mentioned at the beginning there, you talked about, this is one thing I would teach other small businesses when I was doing presentations is don't feel like you have to be everywhere, on all of these different platforms. So really find the one where your customers are, and that's where you want to spend the most of your time, at least at first, master that one, and then you can always expand afterwards. So if most of your clients are on Facebook, be on Facebook. If they're on Instagram, then you should learn Instagram and spend time there, but don't feel like you have to be everywhere because it's too much.
I've learned on Instagram, you have to know how to look very beautiful all the time. These are glamour shot things. I was in Bali this time last year, and there were all these people queuing up to be on these what are called Bali swings, and they're these amazing swings that you swing out over these great big drops. Okay, they do put sort of like safety belts on you so you don't, but they push you and out you go.
Wow.
And there's all these people taking photographs of each other, all queued up. And the Balinese have actually got clever enough. They've got a little wardrobe of dresses and things and umbrellas and things like that. And there's all these people having all these glamour shots. And I was with a really lovely friend. She was showing me around Bali. And I said to her, Tina, what were they doing? She said, that is Instagram. It's all about the look.
Yeah. No.
I said, oh, okay. I said to her, does it bring any income in? She said, you'll be so surprised. Because you become what's called an influencer.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you talk about all of these things, you've got to find your niche, as you say, and stick to one niche, not go all out with all of them, because there was a time a trend where you had to be on everything.
Yeah.
That's exhausting.
That's for sure.
How does self-care relate to self-worth? You teach that.
Yeah, I do. Well, it's about, it's really, it's hard to truly value yourself if you're not taking care of yourself first, and to be able to, it's about respecting yourself. It's about even setting boundaries as well. So it's acknowledging, I think they go hand in hand, because if you are taking care of yourself, if you are, eating right, you're getting plenty of rest, you're doing some sort of a mindful practice maybe, and listening to your intuition and taking advantage of that, then it's going to help you to feel better, and it's going to help you, I think it helps with your confidence level, and then it then ties right into that self-worth, because then you are able to, when you feel whole, you're going to be able to show up better, you're going to be able to go out into the world and say, this is who I am, and be able to honor that. But when you don't, when you're not taking care of yourself, when you're, stressed out and all of that, it's almost impossible to be able to then try to show up in a way that is going to even have other people value who you are and what you have to offer if you're not even doing that for yourself. So, it's important to be able to really show yourself some self-love and take care of yourself first, and then you will be able to do the type of work that you want to do in the world, and you're going to be able to feel better about yourself, and then you can charge appropriately if you're in business, or just even if you're not in business for yourself, if you're working for someone, you can, ask for more money, ask for a raise, and say, I'm doing the job, and I'm entitled to be compensated for it.
Undoubtedly so, and so they should. How does a person listening in on this get in touch with you? Because you have all this experience. You have a wonderful podcast. You've had years of experience in TV, copywriting, and you've got this powerful business brain. But also, what I love about you is you have the quantum energy and connection and understanding of the bigger picture of how you can manifest and grow whatever it is you choose to do, whether it's yourself, your business, anything like that. How do they get in touch with you?
Well, the first and primary place is my website, which is gloriarand.com. That's GLORIARAND.com, and that's where you'll find information certainly about my copywriting services, but as well as you'll be able to check out the podcast, because I have links to it right there as well. And
remind them of the name of your podcast.
Yes, the podcast is called Live, Love, Engage, and so I would love for you to be able to check that out. We're on all of the major podcast platforms, iTunes, and even iHeartRadio now, and Stitcher and Spotify and all those fun places. Lovely. And then, of course, I am on social media, and I've got you can find me at Gloria Grace Rand, usually on like Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, and actually I have a Facebook group as well, which if you go to liveloveengage.com, it will take you directly there, and it's called the Spiritual Awakening Community for Entrepreneurs, and I share a lot of good information in there to help people to have more love, joy, and abundance in their lives, and because that's what it's all about. It's about learning to be able to really just enjoy life in the now, and to be able to engage with one another, and to be able to laugh and have fun, because life, at least on this existence, on this plane at the moment, is it's short. We don't know how much longer or how long each of us has. So make the most of it. And
yeah, it's so true, Gloria.
I didn't do a lot of times. I was got to be too serious for a while. So I'm glad
you got a little spark going on there, and you can channel, and you believe in fairies and angels now. Very sad to know that, because they are there.
Yeah.
And that life is magic. Do you have anything from your website, or a free strategy session or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've got, I do have, you can, in fact, I think if you go to gloriarand.com/strategy, you can apply for a free strategy session. I also have a free gift as well, and I'm not sure if I had told you about this or not, but if you want, you can get I have put together an infographic that is called Uniquely You for steps to move from self-doubt to self-love. And if you go to gloriarand.com/claim-gift, you'll be able to get that infographic. And it's also a bit of a preview about what the book is about as well. And in fact, if you wanted to even get a copy of my book now, you can even get that as well. Just go to, again, my website and just do /book, because I am taking pre-orders of the book right now. And
February 2021.
Yes.
When the book's coming out.
Yes, that's the
so
today what I'm expecting.
I really am excited for you. I love it when I know somebody's about to produce this incredible book that's been written from the heart, and it definitely has been written from yours. I will make sure that all your URLs are actually up on the podcast when it's launched. And I've really loved what you've had to share with me and the Awaken Your Mind Magic listeners. And I'm hoping to get you back soon. I want to be on your podcast.
Yes, I think we're going to have to arrange that after we get done here today and get you on as well, because, yes, I have enjoyed our conversation so much today. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much, Gloria. It's been great having you here on Awaken Your Mind Magic.
So grateful. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much. Take care now. Bye-bye.
That's Awaken Your Mind Magic for another week. If anything you've heard today has really impacted you and you want to know more, or you would just like to connect with me, then visit my website, awakenyourmindmagic.com, and reach out for a free one-on-one discovery session with me. Silver on the outside. Tune in next week, where I'll be discussing more tools to unlock your dreams and live a limitless life that you would truly love to live. I'm Susan Kathleen, and this has been Awaken Your Mind Magic.